Welcome back, sixth graders. Ms. Hall here. I'm excited to have you with me today as we continue focusing on becoming familiar with unfamiliar words using a variety of strategies. Today, we're going to focus our attention on word parts. Let's take a look at our I can statement for today. I can determine the meaning of unfamiliar words by separating word parts and using context clues in a text. Now keep in mind, in the previous lesson, we talked a little bit about context clues and how to use it as we're reading. Today, we're going to focus our attention on word parts, breaking the words down to come up with our own definition of unfamiliar words. Are you ready to get started? Let's jump right in. For today's lesson, you will need a few things. First, you'll need an electronic or hard copy of today's article. Now, you may notice that this article is similar to what we read the other day. We're reading the same nonfiction text from Newsela titled, Science Says People Stoking Brew That Makes California Burn. So we're looking at that text that's talking about the California wildfires that is currently happening right now. In addition to that, you'll need a pen or pencil, and also you'll need a highlighter. Because I'm fancy, I always use a highlighter as I'm annotating or highlighting key things in my text. And last but not least, I highly recommend that you have a notebook or a group of paper where you can keep up with your notes for today's lesson. Keep in mind, our goal for GCS is to build our vocabulary bank in our heads. And our goal is to achieve 40,000 words by the time you graduate high school. So that may seem like a lot of words, but you already have a lot built into your word bank already. We're just going to add and expand it. You ready to jump in? Let's get started. Now, as we mentioned, I love words. I don't know why, I just enjoy it. I love finding new words every single day as I'm encountering through reading or just for fun. Yeah, I'm that type that will look up random things and find synonyms or antonyms so I can build my word bank. You should try it yourself. You might like it as well. Now, why is that even important? Why do we need to know 40,000 words by the time we graduate high school? There's a lot of reasons, but let's talk about real life, realistic reasons. Now, when I'm with my friends, I have a group of words that I use more frequently. Those are the more social interaction words. In a business or even a school environment for you, you may have to access a different word bank, which I will call our academic word bank. They may not be the same type of words that you'll use as you're chatting at home with family, friends, or associates, but more formal words that require another tool to use. Make sense? Good. Let's keep moving. So again, we're focusing our attention on breaking down words inside our sentences as we're reading together. But again, you still may need to use your context clues to help us find definition or our own meaning of unfamiliar words or phrases. So in today's lesson, we're going to do a couple of things. First, we're going to do a word analysis, practice breaking down some unfamiliar words for ourselves, and then we're going to jump into the text and do the same strategy as we're reading along. Keep in mind, for today, I strongly or highly recommend that you use your ELA notebook because there are some words that I want you to jot down to keep and add to your word bank. Again, 40,000 words by the time you graduate high school. And last but not least, we're going to do a lot of practice making sure that we understand how to break down words for ourselves. So at this time, go ahead and pause the video as you grab your ELA notebook. You have your notebook, you ready? Perfect. Now here are just 12 Greek and Latin roots. Now keep in mind, in the English language, our words came from other countries and continents. Weird, right? And English is a evolving language. You encounter new words all the time. Dictionaries are always updating, believe it or not. As the English language continues to evolve, there are, however, root words that stay the same and it doesn't change no matter what year or time that we're in. And here are 12 of the most common ones that I want you to add to your word bank. Again, 40,000 words by the time you graduate high school. So let's take a look at some of our words. Now here, the English language, a lot of our words come from Greek and Latin. So here are Greek and Latin stem, the English definition of the word, and then some examples or derivatives that you will find these words in everyday reading or life. Let's take a look. First, we have facio, which means to do or make. Here's some examples of words that you may have already heard. Facility, difficult, sufficient, and effect. Next, we have duco or duco, depending on how you say it, which means to lead or bring forward. Lead or bring forward. Here's some examples that you'll see this Greek or Latin stem. Produce, induce, introduce, and conduct. You see why I said duco versus duco? It changes. Next, we have tendo. Tendo means to stretch. Tend, tendency, intend. Have you heard any of those words before? Pretty sure you have. Next, we have plico. Plico means to fold. Examples include ply, appliance, comply, and display. Have you heard any of those words before? Next, we have specio or specchio. Again, it interchanges depending on the word that we're using. And that means to see or observe. Do you notice any words that you might be familiar with already? We have conspicuous, suspicious, inspect, and respect. Next, we have pono. Pono means place. Some words that you may have encountered or know include postpone, opponent, position, and deposit. Next, we have teneo, which means to hold or to have. We have tenant, tenure, content, and contain. Next, we have pharaoh. Pharaoh means to bear or carry. We have fertile, confer, offer, and transfer. All examples of that. Now, I'm not sure if you caught on to it, but all of our Greek and Latin stems have really one-word definitions. Easy to remember, not hard to kind of try to figure out. Let's look at mitto. That means to send. We have admit, transmit, omit, or permit. Next, we have capio or copio, which means to take or to seize. Examples include capable, anticipate, conceive, or accept. Next, we have logos. Logos means speech, ratio, description, or science. Again, one-word definition depending on how it's implied. Here we have anthology, apology, biology, catalog, and geology. You see a theme there? Last but not least, we have the Greek root word graph, and it means to write. Here are some examples. Autograph, bibliography. We also have digraph, graphic, paragraph, and telegraph. Did you add those to your notebook yet? If not, pause the video now. Now, I definitely don't want you to become overwhelmed with a list of 12 words and definitions and examples. Keep in mind, these are just some examples, but we strongly encourage you to add it to your bank of words or stems to know, because these will help you with a lot of words that you encounter as you're reading grade level text or just anything in general. You ready to jump in? Let's go. So our objective for today is to be able to break down individual words to find meanings for ourselves before we have to jump and find a dictionary, a friend, or using our technology devices. So let's talk about word parts. Here we have word parts, and basically we're breaking down the words, deconstructing it, dissecting, if you will, to figure out the meaning of the word. And we have an example here, unreadable. So let's talk about what's within a word part. We have a couple of things. We have the affix. The affix is the prefix or the suffix that's found within the word. Prefix includes the stem pre, which means before. That is found before the actual root word. And in this case, our root word is read. Do you see our prefix here? Perfect. Our prefix is un. Next, we have the suffix, which is found after the root word. Again, our root word is read. Do you see our suffix here? Our suffix is able, unreadable. So read is our root word, un is our prefix, and able is our suffix. That's how we break down our word. Now, typically, our prefix will change the meaning of the full word. Sometimes our suffix will change the function. And we'll talk a little bit about that on our next slide. Now, pause the video, and I want you to take a look at our word here, construction. Most of us, if not all of us, have heard this word or know the context of what it means. That's why I wanted us to use this word just to practice so we can understand how do we break down words. So you see here we have the word construction, and I've broken down our word here. So we have our root word, which is struct, and struct means to build. Do you see our prefix here? Our prefix is con. Con means together. Sometimes you will see the word con and it will also mean with. In this case, for the word construction, either definition would work. Last but not least, we have our suffix, which is ion or shun. Always add the T to that ion, so shun works. So the definition of shun, or in this case, ion, means, anyone knows, based off what we see? This means act or process. So con means together or with, struct means to build, shun or ion means act or process. Based on what we have here, can you determine the definition of our word construction? So, here is my generalized definition of the word construction. It's the process of building. Now you may notice that I didn't use the word together or with, which is fine, but this helps us to understand the meaning of the entire word. You ready to break down some more words? Let's do some more together. Next we have the word transportation. Now I've already broken down our words, so I want you to take a look, identify the root, prefix, and suffix, and let's see if we can come up with the definition of this word together. So if you need to pause this video, use your time now to pause. Let's start with our prefix. Our prefix trans means, anyone know? Our prefix trans means across. We can't forget our root word. Our root word is port. Does anyone know what port means? It means carry. Now, I didn't want to leave out the A because it's part of the word itself, but it really doesn't imply to the meaning of the word. But I wanted us to focus on the suffix shun, T-I-O-N. Remember that from the previous word? So what does it mean again? Can you find it for me? Again, it's act or process. Now pause the video for a moment and figure out the definition of our word transportation. So hopefully you took some time to write down the definition of the word transportation based off of the breakdown that we have here. Some of you may have referred back to your context clues or background knowledge to help you with the definition, and that's perfectly fine. We don't want you to not use your background knowledge or context clues, but we want you to get in the habit of also breaking down word parts as well. So, based off what we have here, root word is carry, prefix is across, suffix is the act or process. What does transportation mean? Perfect. It is the act of carrying things across or around. What are some examples of transportation? Bus, ride a school bus to school, a car, a train, airplane, boats. These are all modes of transportation. They carry people or things to other places. Carry across. Ready to practice some more? Excellent. So as you take out your article, I want you to read it again, and I want you to focus on our guided question for today. Now keep in mind, our lesson objective is not about comprehension or identifying the central idea, but it's a great strategy that we need to be in the habit of using anytime we pick up new material to read for ourselves. So here is our question that I want you to have in the back of your head as you read along in your text. According to the article, why did the recent fires get so big from the start? Basically, what's causing all these California wildfires? Pause the video and read the text for yourself. So did you figure out what was some of the causes of the California wildfires that are going on even now? Some of it includes just the drying out of the shrubs, trees, and brush around the area. Also, the Mediterranean climate that we mentioned in our context clues excerpt as well. So there was quite a few examples of what were causing the California wildfires, but hopefully you were able to address our question for today. Let's jump into breaking down some words. You ready? Now, this excerpt is found in paragraph 2 of your text. So if you need to pause the video and identify paragraph 2, go ahead and do that now. So let's take a look at this excerpt. Again, this is found in paragraph 2 of your text today. An unusual outbreak of August thunderstorms erupted across California this year. Between August 12th through 16th, thousands of lightning strikes rained down across the state. These strikes sparked numerous wildfires. Because of a heat wave, gusty winds, and dry conditions, they grew into huge complexes of firestorms. So the word I want us to break down is erupted. Now, before we break it down, have you heard this word before? I'm pretty sure you have. When I think of this word for myself, what can erupt? People can erupt, as in temper, or volcanoes erupt. What's happening when a volcano erupts? Exactly. The lava is exploding out violently out of the volcano, erupt. Now, the key word I wanted you to hear was violently. When you erupt, it's not just timid, it's violently, dramatic, extra. Okay? So, here are some hints that will help us break down the word erupted. E or X in this case means out. Rupt means to break. Again, think about the volcano. Think about tempers erupting. And our examples of our root and base and prefix, break down our word for yourself. This will be a perfect opportunity to pause and draw out your diagram. Now that you're back, I want us to find our word erupted in the text, so they'll also help us to break down our word. Here we go. An unusual outbreak of August thunderstorms erupted across California this year. Our word here is erupted. So what's erupting in California right now? thunderstorms are erupting. So I've highlighted thunderstorms that's causing the eruptions or doing the erupting in this case. Now, when we're talking about erupting and we use our example of volcanoes and maybe tempers erupting, is it something that's calm or silent? No, this is aggressive, sometimes violent, and in this case, thunderstorms are erupting. So again, here we're using an example of using some context clues that will help us to come up with the meaning for ourselves for our identified word. Now let's break down our word. So let's break down the word erupted together. So we have the E, or in this case, X, which means out. Use our hint up there. Next, where's our root word? Perfect. Our root word is rupt. R-U-P-T, which means to break. Are we finished? No, we have our suffix, which is our ending, ed. Now in this case, our suffix typically changes the function of our word. Ed, when we see ed, it means past tense, which it happened already. So past tense, or it already occurred. So we've broken down our word. Let's define our word together. Erupted means to break out. Easy enough, right? Let's do some more together. Now this excerpt is found in paragraph 3 of our text. So if you need to pause the video now, go ahead and do so and identify paragraph number 3 in our text. Here we're going to define the word geographical. Geographical. Now most of you have heard this word before, which is fine, but I want us to get in the habit of practicing this strategy, which is breaking down words to find meaning of unfamiliar words that you may encounter. Let's take a look at our excerpt. It reads, the biggest blazes include the LNU lightning complex in Sonoma, Lake, Napa, and Solano counties. Lightning complex is the name of the California Department of Fire Protection gives to 2 or more fires in the same area started by lightning. LNU is their code for the fire's geographical location in those counties. Another huge set of fires is called the CZU. And we're going to stop there. Let's highlight our word for this excerpt. It's geographical. Now, before we jump into breaking down our word geographical, let's see if we can use some context clues that will better help us come up with the definition of our keyword here. Do you see anything that will help you define geographical? I think so. Now you may notice that I've highlighted some clues that were not exactly in the same sentence as the word geographical, and that's okay. We're looking for clues that will help us define it, and it's not always going to be right there for us. We may have to do some investigative work. Here are our clues that I highlighted. I included the counties that this article is talking about, which includes Sonoma, Lake, Napa, and Solano. Also, the word location came right after the word geographical, which should be a clue for us. And then again, the word counties. How do we feel so far using our context clues? Great. Let's break down our word. Okay, so we have geo, which means earth. Now, another word that I want you to pull out here is our root word, which is graph. I'm going to highlight that. And the reason why I'm highlighting this root word is because if you added it to your notes from the beginning, it's one of our 12 most common Latin and Greek root words. Now, from your notes, what does graph mean? You got it. Graph means to right. And we're only going to use our prefix and our root for helping us define this word geographical. So, what does geographical mean? Someone is writing, I'm going to just say to write, about what? So, write about the earth. Now, in this text, is it talking about the entire planet? No. It's speaking more specifically about the geographical location of the fires within these few counties in California, which is a part of Earth. Let's keep moving. Now, before we go, I want us to make sure that we continue to use strategies as we're reading for ourselves, whether it's a comic book, a short story, a nonfiction text like what we read today, or just anything in general. So my challenge to you is, let's break down some words as you're reading unfamiliar words or phrases. If you can't find the root word, that's fine. Use your context clues. You notice that we use both in today's lesson, and either way is fine. But I want you to try it for yourself before you grab a dictionary, friend, or your electronic device. Once you find that definition of your unfamiliar word, write it down and compare notes. You probably had the right definition and you didn't even realize it. Keep practicing, and that's fine. In closing, I want you to make sure as you're reading independently for about 30 minutes, find a great book that you want to enjoy for yourself, read some more, and share with a friend. Don't forget to touch base with your teacher or your media specialist to share some ideas on what some books that you can read in the future. Keep reading. Look forward to hanging out with you next time. See you again soon.